All right. So with a collapsing communist economy, Xi's saber-rattling is no match for America's Trumpian economic boom. And that is the subject of the riff. Now, according to reports, President Xi did a little saber-rattling over Taiwan with President Trump. More or less, he seemed to be saying, if the U.S. doesn't handle Taiwan properly, the two countries will clash and put the relationship in great jeopardy. Now, no one knows what that really means. Forever and ever, we've had a policy of strategic ambiguity, which really amounts to an American defense of Taiwan's autonomy and independence. I don't think any of that's going to change, nor do I think President Trump wants it to change. It's not really negotiable. And Taiwan, and especially the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, or TSMC, that may well be at the very center of the world's AI competition. It's a Taiwanese company that has just opened a substantial operation in Phoenix, Arizona, as well as other places in the U.S. I doubt very strongly that President Trump wants any of that change, or worse, to give it up. So I think Xi is bluffing. In recent weeks, Mr. Xi has watched the U.S. end his influence in Venezuela, in the Panama Canal. Soon it's going to be Cuba, and of course, Iran. I mean, China's buying 90% of Iran's oil and gas exports, but with Trump's airtight blockade of Iranian ports, China is starving for energy. They might make a deal with us, but that too remains to be seen if it comes under Treasury man Scott Bessent's investment board idea. Meanwhile, President Trump has elbowed China out of the Middle East. He's elbowed them out of the Western Hemisphere. And on top of all that, China's economy has never recovered from the real estate property crash of a couple of years ago. They used to post GDP growth rates of 15% or better. Now it's down to 5% or less, which is essentially for them a recession. And if they have bad economic statistics cropping up, they have decided, well, just don't publish them at all. How's that? Remember, China is really communist China, the CCP. Now, way back in the 1980s and 1990s, they flirted with some free market reforms that actually improved their economy and generated a functioning private sector. But in the 21st century, under subsequent dictators, most notably Xi Jinping, the economy has been turned back into a tightly run statist enterprise with massive corruption and repeated economic failure. In world trade, they are highly protectionist and rarely keep their promises to open up markets. And as someone who worked on Mr. Trump's first-term Phase 1 trade deal, I can tell you a lot about their broken promises. My point here is that while China has invested heavily in a strong military, their economy is malfunctioning and their political standing in the world is slipping badly. All this reminds me of Reagan and Gorbachev. The American economy was booming in the Reagan 1980s. The Soviet economy was collapsing. Gorbachev desperately wanted Reagan to drop what was then known as Star Wars, which has now become the Golden Dome defense of America, and of course, Mr. Trump's Space Force. Anyway, Reagan used to negotiate Star Wars away. Reagan refused to negotiate Star Wars away. He bluntly told Gorbachev that the strong American economy was producing the resources to support space defense, but that the Soviet economy couldn't possibly match us. I think the same is true today with Trump and Xi. Here's my favorite statistics. On a per capita basis, U.S. GDP is well over $90,000 per person. And China? Well, on a per-person basis, their GDP is just shy of $14,000. That gives America a nearly seven-fold economic advantage over China. So, She may saber rattle all he wants, but you know what? Mr. Trump has the goods to keep America first. And that's the riff.